Disclaimer, doll customization is not for children. I am using toxic chemicals as well as sharp and hot tools. Hello my loves, welcome to another episode. After a very long and hot summer, autumn is here. In today's episode I will create a fairy doll inspired by autumn. Let's start. This is today's candidate, a second-hand Caveclub doll with a natural dark skin tone. I really enjoy working with a space doll. She is easy to draw on and I like working with natural skin tones. Her hair is not in good condition. I remove the doll's accessory. Next, I undress the doll. This doll has never been undressed as there are still rubber bands holding her dress in place. After that, I cut the hair as closest to the scalp as possible. This is how the doll looks with cut hair. I bring water to a boil, then soak the head in the hot water for 10 minutes. The hot water softens the rind and making it easier for me to remove the head from the neck pack. I carefully remove the head from the neck pack. With an old screwdriver, I loosen glue and hair inside the head, but as the neck hole in the doll's head is very small, I wonder if I can work like usual. However, I managed to loosen all the hair roots without any problem. This is a newer kind of doll, but I bought her second-hand. With needle nose pliers, I remove hair and glue from inside the head. I remove the printed-on face with a cotton pad soaked in pure acetone. Wear gloves to do this. I want to give this doll new hair. For that I take a reroot tool and synthetic hair. A reroot tool is a needle cut at an angle and a handle. I take a bit of hair onto the needle, then push the hair into a hole in the doll's head. I repeat this with all the holes in the doll's scalp. Rerooting takes multiple hours, but the result is worth the effort. Be careful working with a reroot needle, you may poke your finger. I start rerooting the doll's head at the hairline. It is important to be careful while rerooting or the head will rip. Once I am done rerooting the head, I need to secure the hair inside the head. For that I need feed glue, for example Mod Podge glue. I cover all hair roots inside the head with the glue, then let the glue fully dry. After the glue has dried, I brush the hair, then bring water to a boil and pour the hot water over the hair. This will make the hair lie flat against the head. I then let the wet hair fully dry. I have prepared the doll's body with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat Sealant Spray. Now I add red soft pastels to the skin to make it look alive. I add red soft pastels to her joints, belly, spine, fingers and toes. Then I seal the pastels in with a layer of sealant spray. I want to make a dress for this doll out of leaves and thrifted fabric. How should the dress look like? Should I use a leaf for the underdress? I cut a piece of thrifted orange fabric to the desired length, then wrap it around the doll's body. I bought new glue for this project, but the glue just does not stick. I will have to buy different glue. After buying the right kind of glue, I can close the fabric at the doll's back with glue and then add the fabric leaf to the front. I glue the sides of the leaf to the back, creating an underdress. I take fabric flowers apart, then cut the petals into pieces. Then I add the petals to the doll's dress with glue. I want to create volume at the sides of the dress. For that I add flower petals in layers. I start with red petals, then add orange petals and yellow ones on top. Let the glue dry before adding another layer. I also add petals to the back of the dress. Once the flower skirt is done, I add orange thrifted lace to the dress. I often buy clothes in second-hand shops for fabric, as it is cheaper and good for the environment. Next, I want to create sandals. I cut ribbon, then wrap the ribbon around the doll's leg, securing the ribbon with glue. I am not sure if I should tie a bow with the ends or use a simple knot. I repeat the steps with the second leg. Tying the ribbon ends into a cute bow doesn't work as well as I had imagined. I add a piece of ribbon around her neck. I want to give the doll bracelets, but the ring is too large and slides off her hand. I then use a hair bead. A fairy needs wings. I take a deco butterfly apart. I add the wings to the doll's back with glue. I add a piece of leaf to cover the glue. I have tied a bow, now I burn the ends of the ribbon. I add the ribbon to the dress with glue. I decided to just tie a knot into the ribbon ends of the sandals. One sandal is coming off, so I reattach it. I simply tie a knot, trim the ends and burn them. I covered the doll's hair with a piece of fabric and prepared the face with a layer of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat Sealant Spray. I let the sealant dry for 15 minutes. Now I add red pastels to her forehead, cheeks, lips and nose. I accidentally upset the container with the red pastels over the fabric that covers the doll's hair. I will show you later how the pastels have stained the hair. I add more red pastels to her lips. I seal the pastels in with Mr. Super Clear and work on the second layer. I color the eyes with a white watercolor pencil to create a base for the eye color. With the brown watercolor pencil I draw the eyebrows. I also draw the lash line. After a layer of sealant, I color the eyes once more with a white watercolor pencil. I draw a white line under her eyebrows to highlight them. I add more red pastels to her lips. I draw the lip line in brown. I draw a line next to her nostrils. I add more red pastels to her cheeks. It takes multiple layers of pastels to build up opacity on a darker skin tone. After a layer of sealant, I draw the iris. I want to give her orange eyes. The upper part of the iris will be darker than the lower part. I frame the iris with a dark orange watercolor pencil. I add more white to the sclera. I add more pastels to her cheeks. After a layer of sealant, I add more pigment. I frame the lips with a dark brown watercolor pencil. I add a bit of white to her lips. I work some more on the lash line. After a layer of sealant, I draw the pupils in black. I add some more pigment to her iris and some more white to her sclera. I color the ends of her lip line black. I draw a shadow on her sclera. I add more pigment to her iris. After a layer of sealant, I add metallic watercolors to her iris. I like to do this, it makes the iris shimmer. After letting the watercolors fully dry, I add a layer of sealant, then continue my work. As you can see, I add pigment in each layer. This is important to make colors opaque on a darker skin tone. I always use black last. I frame the iris once more with a red watercolor pencil. I draw the eye creases. I add more black. After a layer of sealant, I add dark brown pastels to give her eyes depth. I add more metallic watercolors to her iris. After a layer of sealant, I add more dark brown soft pastels. It is important to work in layers. I prefer to mostly use watercolors for my face-ups. However, my with acrylic paints you can build up opacity faster. Acrylics cannot be easily removed though, I prefer to use gouaches instead. Now I will paint catch lights with white gouaches and a dotting tool. Next, I paint white eyelashes with gouaches and a thin nail art brush. I then draw dark eyelashes. If I do not like the eyelashes, I can easily remove them with a wet brush. Sometimes it takes multiple tries. I add gold shimmer to his skin. After 2 more layers of sealant, the face-up is done. Remember how I got red pastels all over her covered hair? The pastels have stained her white hair. I will try to remove the pastels with a cotton pad soaked in pure acetone. Luckily, I can remove the pastels from her hair. I heat her neckline with a hairdryer, then carefully reattach the head to the body. I want to make a headpiece for this doll. I cut a fabric leaf smaller, then attach it to the head with glue. I then add an acorn with a hot glue gun. And this doll is done. Autumn Leaf the fairy is very busy in fall. She and the other autumn fairies turn the leaves red, orange and brown. Autumn Leaf has large, expressive eyes in gold and metallic orange and long soft hair in white with streaks in auburn and orange. Her face shimmers golden. The fairy wears a dress made from thrifted lace, fabric flowers and fabric leaves. Autumn Leaf can sit on her deco pumpkin and hold a deco apple. The hair is fully rerooted, a process that took hours. How do you like Autumn Leaf the fairy? Tell me in the comments. I think she looks mischievous and fun. I like her color scheme. It is so fitting for autumn. I am quite happy with how she turned out. If you want to support me, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on social media. I also have a Patreon where I share behind the scenes content and work in progress pictures. Stay safe and be creative.